She didn't expect you to leave. She expected the paragraph, the long emotional message trying to fix everything, the apology you didn't owe, the late-night text where you over-explained, over-analyzed, and overextended just to keep her from slipping away. Because that's what you always did. You stayed when it hurt. You explained when you were misunderstood. You chased when she pulled back. You gave more when she gave less. And over time, she got used to that version of you, the one who would bend, adjust, and fight for her, even when she stopped fighting for you. So in her mind, this was just another moment, another test, another situation where she could pull away, act distant, give you silence or attitude, and wait. Wait for you to come running back like before. Because you always did. You always closed the gap. You always broke first. And that made her comfortable. Comfortable enough to believe that no matter how she acted, you wouldn't leave. But this time, something was different. You felt the same emotions, the urge to reach out, to fix it, to say something, to bring things back to how they were. But instead of reacting, you paused. Instead of chasing, you held your ground. Instead of begging, you chose discipline. And without warning, without explanation, without drama, you walked away. No paragraph, no closure speech, no emotional collapse, just silence and self-respect. And that's the moment everything flipped. Because she wasn't prepared for a man who could feel deeply and still walk away calmly. A man who didn't let emotions override his standards. A man who didn't need to be chosen because he already chose himself. If you've ever reached that point where your discipline became stronger than your attachment, where you walked away even when it hurt, comment "discipline over emotion" below. Now, let's begin. She didn't lose respect for you all at once. She learned she could, slowly over time. Every time you tolerated mixed signals, every time you accepted inconsistency, every time you stayed after being confused, ignored, or subtly disrespected, you reinforced a pattern. You showed her that no matter what she did, you would adjust. You would overthink, overgive, and eventually come back to restore the connection. You became the one who fixed everything, even when you weren't the one breaking it. And patterns are powerful, because once someone sees that you always return, they stop worrying about losing you. They stop measuring their behavior. They stop putting in the same effort. Not always consciously, not always maliciously, but naturally, because people don't value what feels guaranteed. And you made yourself feel guaranteed. You answered every time. You stayed every time. You forgave every time. So in her mind, you weren't a risk. You were a safety net. Someone she could pull away from, test, give less to, and still expect to be there when she felt like coming back. And the more that belief settled in, the more your value dropped. Not because you changed, but because your boundaries never showed up. You removed the one thing that creates respect, the possibility of losing you. So when she distanced herself this time, it wasn't shocking to her. It was familiar. She expected the same outcome, the text, the explanation, the moment you'd break and try to fix everything again. But this time, you didn't. You felt the urge, but you didn't act. You stayed silent. You held your ground. You broke the pattern. And now, for the first time, she has to face the possibility that you're not coming back. That's where respect begins. If you've ever broken the pattern and chosen your standards over your emotions, comment "I don't chase anymore" below. Walking away sounds simple until you have to actually do it. Because it's not just about leaving her, it's about controlling yourself. Controlling the urge to text, to check her profile, to replay conversations in your head at 2 a.m. trying to figure out what you could have said differently. It's about sitting with the discomfort instead of trying to escape it. Most men don't fail because they lack options. They fail because they lack discipline. They feel the emotion. and immediately act on it. They feel distance and chase. They feel uncertainty and try to fix it. But discipline is doing the opposite of what your emotions are telling you in the moment. It's choosing long-term self-respect over short-term relief. Because sending that message might feel good for a second, but it costs you your position. It puts you right back where she expected you to be. Walking away requires strength most people don't have. Not loud strength, not aggressive energy. Quiet strength. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything. The kind that can feel everything and still choose to do nothing. That's Stoic discipline. You're not suppressing your emotions, you're mastering them. You're not pretending not to care, you're deciding not to react. And that decision is what separates men who stay stuck from men who evolve. Because the truth is, anyone can stay. Anyone can chase. Anyone can beg. But very few can walk away and mean it. So if you're building the kind of discipline that doesn't fold under pressure, comment "Discipline is power" below. Because this is where you take control. When you are there, always reaching out, always trying, always closing the gap, she never had to feel the distance. You felt it. You felt the confusion, the inconsistency, the slow pullback in her energy. But she didn't, because you were constantly filling the space. Every time things got quiet, you spoke. Every time things felt off, you fixed it. Every time she pulled away, you chased. You carried the emotional weight of the connection. But the moment you walked away, that weight didn't disappear. It transferred. Now the silence is hers to sit with. Now she feels the space you used to fill. Now she notices the absence you created. Now she experiences the uncertainty you were dealing with the entire time. And it's uncomfortable, because when someone is used to having access to you, your absence feels louder than your presence ever did. She starts checking her phone more, replaying conversations, wondering why you didn't react the way you used to. Not because you said anything, but because you stopped. And that shift forces her to feel something she never had to before. What it's like when you're gone. So if you've stepped back and finally let someone feel your absence, instead of constantly filling the void, comment, "My absence has value" below. Because sometimes the loudest move you can make is silence. At some point, you realized something uncomfortable. You weren't just chasing her, you were chasing validation. Every reply from her felt like approval. Every good interaction felt like progress. Every moment of distance felt like rejection. And without noticing it, your emotional state became tied to her behavior. If she was warm, you felt confident. If she pulled away, you felt anxious. If she ignored you, you questioned yourself. That's not power. That's dependency. Because the moment someone controls how you feel, they control you. But when you walked away, something deeper shifted. You stopped looking for her to validate your worth. You stopped needing her attention to feel secure. You stopped measuring yourself based on how she responded. And instead, you validated yourself, quietly, internally, without needing anyone else to confirm it. That's where real confidence comes from. Not from being liked, not from being chosen, but from knowing who you are, regardless of who stays or leaves. And here's the part most people don't understand. The moment you stop seeking validation is the moment people start noticing you more. Because your energy changes. You're no longer trying to impress, no longer trying to win approval, no longer trying to hold on to something that isn't holding on to you. And that detachment, it makes you stand out. So if you've reached the point where you no longer need validation to feel secure, comment, "I validate myself" below. because that's when you become unshakable. Most men can talk about standards. Very few can enforce them. They say they won't tolerate disrespect until it happens. They say they'll walk away until emotions get involved. They say they value themselves until they're about to lose someone. And then they stay, they negotiate, they justify. They lower the line just to keep the connection alive. But you didn't. You felt the attachment. You felt the urge to stay. You felt everything pulling you back, and you still left. That's what makes you different, because being able to walk away isn't about not caring. It's about caring about yourself more. It's about having a standard that doesn't move just because your emotions do. And that's rare. Rare in a world where most people choose comfort over self-respect, where most people would rather hold on to something familiar than face the unknown alone. But you chose differently. You chose discipline over attachment, standards over feelings, respect over temporary comfort. And when a man proves to himself that he can leave when necessary, he stops being easy to replace. Because now there's a line, and if someone crosses it, you don't argue. You don't explain. You walk away. So if you've become the kind of man who can leave without hesitation when your standards are crossed, comment, "I can walk away" below, because that's real power. At first, she didn't take your silence seriously. She thought it was temporary, a phase, just another moment where you'd cool off, then come back like before, because that's what you always did. So she waited for the notification, waited for the message, waited for you to break first. But the message never came, and slowly, what felt normal started to feel strange, then uncomfortable, then real, because now the silence isn't a tactic, it's a reality. Now she starts to understand something she ignored before. You didn't go silent to manipulate her. You went silent because you were done, and that realization hits late, after the space has grown, after the connection has faded, after you've already started moving forward. That's when she begins to replay everything, the way you showed up, the way you stayed, the way you gave more than you received. And now, without your presence to take for granted, your value becomes clear. Not because you said anything, but because you stopped saying everything. And by the time she fully understands what your silence meant, you're no longer the same man she once had access to. So if you've reached the point where your silence isn't a game, but a final decision, comment, "I don't look back" below, because some realizations come late. But your growth doesn't wait. It might feel like you lost something, the connection, the moments, the version of her you believed in. But the truth is, you didn't lose her. You lost the version of yourself that tolerated less than you deserved, the version that overgave, overthought, overextended, just to keep someone who wasn't choosing you fully. And in losing that version, you gained something far more valuable: clarity. Clarity on what you will and won't accept. Clarity on how you show up moving forward. Clarity on your own worth without needing anyone else to confirm it. Because walking away doesn't just end something. It reveals you. It shows you that you're capable of choosing yourself, even when it hurts. That you're capable of discipline, even when emotions are loud. That you're capable of growth, even when it requires letting go. And once you experience that, you don't go back. Not because you're bitter, not because you're angry, but because you've outgrown the version of you that would have stayed. So if you've realized that walking away wasn't a loss, but a level up, comment, "I leveled up" below. Because sometimes losing them is how you find yourself. Most men will hear this and still go back. They'll feel the clarity right now, the strength, the certainty, and then a few hours later, the emotion hits, and they fold. They send the message. They check her page. They reopen a door that already showed them why it had to close. Don't be that man. Because every time you go back, you restart the cycle. You erase your progress. You teach her and yourself that your discipline doesn't last. But when you stay firm, when you feel everything and still choose silence, that's when you separate yourself. That's when you become the man who doesn't break under pressure, the man who doesn't chase confusion, the man who doesn't need closure, because his actions already gave it. And that kind of man, he doesn't lose. So if this message hit you, if you know you're done going backwards and ready to move forward without hesitation, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and join the Stoic Blessing movement. And before you go, comment "no more going back" below. Because the moment you stop returning is the moment you truly move on.